Welcome to this, the first in a new series of videos I'm calling Mod Spotlight on Snowrunner on PlayStation 5 with me, MrSealyp. Okay, so what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be doing a bit of a mod spotlight. I'm going to hopefully do a few of these videos as new mods come out. I do mod reviews on Farming Simulator already. This is a whole different beast, a whole different animal on Snowrunner. I'm going to be looking at International Scout 800 JBE by Jboosted in this particular one. At the time of recording this, there are about 72 mods in the mod hub for Snowrunner. Unlike Farming Simulator, where the mods get uploaded at a certain time every single day, and then they're in there until an update gets submitted, what I'm finding with the mod hub as part of Snowrunner for console is things are coming in and dropping out and coming in and dropping out quite regularly. The reason I haven't done a mod spotlight up to now is because every time I've gone to do one, the mod that I've already got installed has then dropped out of the mods hub. So if I do a spotlight on a video and then someone's still, I've gone to get it and it's not in the mods hub, it then becomes a little bit awkward. This one has been in for a few days now and seems to have stayed there. I quite like it. One of the reasons being that the Scout 800 is one of the early kind of vehicles I had a bit of a play around with on the main game. It then gets to a point where it gets superseded by other vehicles, and there was a limited amount of stuff you could do with it. That's different with this, with the Scout 800. 50 megabytes to download. I am also kind of spotlighting in this first video I'm doing the map I'm going to be on, and I'm on Hollister Hills Off-Road Park by DevilDrivingHell, which is 11.5 megabytes to download, and it's going to be one of the maps I'm going to use for sort of testing vehicles. I also want to have a look at them in the sort of real world environment, if you know what I mean, on a couple of maps as well, standard maps rather than test maps. So as far as this particular vehicle goes, if we go to Truck Store, if you've got your mods installed, if I go across to, I think it's right at the very end, this one, there we go, the JBE, 16,000 for the base model. Now, top right hand corner, the map I'm on gives me that money. I haven't put that money in. I haven't got a cheat or a mod or anything like that. Each modded map you may download will give you either a certain amount of money, either it'll be a huge amount or it'll be next to nothing. And as you can see, it's saying there I'm on level 1 because on this particular map I haven't actually done anything. So what we'll do is actually have a look at what we can do to it first, then we'll go out and then we'll have a bit of a play around with it. So under customizing, we've got a lot of things that are pre-unlocked. I've gone for the HET 8V 6.2. Price of that, I think, was only 6,500. But with the amount of money you've got in the top right-hand corner on this particular map, it doesn't really matter. But we have some different engine options. Gearboxes, we've got stock, highway, off-road, and the JBE transmission. 6-speed automatic with 3 low and 1 high. Then we've got suspension. So we've got the active suspension. Now that's locked, and so is the stock suspension at the moment for some reason. Oh, it's because the equipped tyres, that's why. Active suspension is the one that when you go into the game itself, you can raise and lower it as you go. But what I have found is if you put an active suspension on, there's a limit to what tyre sizes you can put on. So you can't go to the very largest ones. But that, again, you may prefer the option to have it raised and lowered if you're worried about it being top heavy, that kind of thing. So we've got the raised suspension, and then we've got the flex suspension, which is what I went for. It's a little bit higher than the raised. That could be a blessing and a curse, but we'll see. Then on the tyres on this particular mod, there are an absolute ton of them. So we start off on 35 inches. And as we go through, there's varying different ones for on-road, off-road and mud performance. And as you go through, it will give you the options on which are good, which are excellent. From the 35s, we then go up to 39s, then on to 43s. Again, it will depend on suspension. And then we go on to the off-roads. Once we get onto some of the tyre choices, you'll find that a lot of them remain the same with regard to on-road average, off-road excellent, mud excellent. It will then come down to almost an aesthetic choice, which ones you particularly like the look of, and also what rims you get with certain ones. They do look pretty impressive. So again, with this 35s, 39s, so 39s, and as we go through, we then move on to the 43s. There's Hummers and OHSs, and let's say loads and loads. We go through the off-roads and onto the muds. the old Tiger tyres that everyone's kind of got used to. But again, loads of different tread patterns and options available. But then looking now, we've got on-road, off-road, mud, excellent, 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 which is great. And there are, where's the one that I really like as we go further down? Now, I would suggest go through, have a look, take a bit of time. These, the Quasi Monster mud tyres, you've got really wide ones, and then you've got the single mud tyres. So you've got the really wides. Now, I didn't go for really wides only because certain vehicles, and if you're going through gaps, through rocks and that kind of thing, sometimes that can be a hindrance. But again, have a play around with it. And then we move on to the 39s. Same sort of options as we go through the 39s, and then we then move on to the 40. Where are we? So, I mean, there are so many available in here. We'll get onto the 43s in a minute. There we go. 43s. But what I'm finding in a lot of the mods, especially the ones from JBE, having looked through them, is when we get onto the chained options. So that's the 43s on those big wide ones and the singles. But if we get onto chained, what I'm finding a lot of them are these, and it's studded tyres. So they're studded mud tyres. And what you're getting is on-road is average, but off-road excellent, mud excellent, and ice excellent. So as a nice all-round tyre, which will cover pretty much every eventuality, they're coming up as pretty good. Now, I think I went for, not the 35s, I think I went for 43s in those. But again, tons of chained options. Those ones, I love the hubs on those as well. The rims look absolutely amazing. So yeah, there's a load of tyre choices, as you can see. Winch, stock, extended, advanced, autonomous. Then we've got autonomous plus. And again, what I'm finding, a lot of the mods, the standard winch, or the autonomous winches, seem to have, they go out for miles. So if you're on a map with loads of trees and that kind of thing, and you click on your winch option, there are just too many to choose from. I know a couple of mods, I think Frog's mods have they've gone away and come back and done a kind of custom console version. I'm pretty sure I went with the Autonomous Plus. Spare wheel, then we've got options of spare wheel on the back, spare wheel there, or spare wheel inside, which I think was what I went for. Snorkel, tool front facing. And then we've got a load of options here for frame add-ons. So we've got a roll cage inside, in-cab supplies, which I went for. There's a trunk repair supplies as well. There's roof rack 1, roof rack 2. Now I went for roof rack 2 because I like the look of it. And if you're going to be going out across the map and exploring, having the spares on there is absolutely brilliant. But what I am going to do is uninstall that, because what I want to do is lower my centre of gravity for the time being, just to use it as a bit of a kind of rock crawler at the moment. And that's just kind of a decision I came to a little while ago. So again, tons of options. This is what's so different between this and Farming Simulator is, before we even get into using the vehicle, the options available, there are loads. And again, I would suggest go in, have a look, have a go through, have a play through. It's impossible for me to show you all of them and the differences they will give to the vehicle, because obviously there'll be loads. So we've got stock tow loops with backup light, stock, tow loops, double pipe. I think I meant, yeah, double pipe. Then rooftop, and there I can put these on. Beacons and fogs, red and blue flasher bar, round beacon, or roof fog lights, which now I've taken the roof rack off, I can put those on. Front bumper, load of options on front bumper. I'm going to take the stock off and sell that. Not that I need to. I think I went with the heavy duty pipe. I just thought it gave it a more chunky look. But there's a load of options on bumpers. Right, miscellaneous. There we go. Right, so I've got 4 cube lights on the bonnet I went for. There's a searchlight on the side you can have as well. LED hood lights. External horns. Side thresholds, which is more of a step. Then pipes. I think I went for pipe. Yeah, I've got pipes. We've got beacon visors, straight cap sun visor, tri-square beacons across the front, all sorts of options. Then under rims, we've got 8 rim options. I went for, I go for the second, I think. Yeah, second option was what I went for, but again, have a look through. Then under customize colour, we've got a special paint scheme on there, and then a load of options. And the other thing I'm finding with a load of the mods, multiple colour options. There are so many to choose from compared to the base game models, which is brilliant. Now I went for MrSealyp green because that's what I do. That's the one I went for. Then under decorations, interior, we've got the standard bobbleheads. So Joker and Masha you need to unlock. Dachshund and Hawaii we've got as an option. Accessories, we've got our hanging things from the rearview mirror. Again, pretty standard. Under stickers though, on a lot of the vehicles now you can go across using the D-pad to add extra stickers. So if I go across one using my D-pad, press it again, I then get the option here for another one on the dashboard, another one, and I can put a third on the dashboard, but there's only an option of 2, so I'd end up replicating. Press it again, we're back to where we started. So quite a few options for stickers. Then exterior stickers, again on a few of the modded vehicles I'm finding, whereas in the base game you can put one of these stickers on, it's either on the front or on a door. I can put that on, then press cross on my D-pad again. I can put one on the side door. Press it again on the other side door. And then you can also do one on the roof as well. So I could, if I want to, put one on the roof too. But if I've got the roof rack on, you can't actually see it. So, but you know, again, it's entirely up to you. Then we've got the option of hood ornaments, and there's a few on there to choose from. So that's what I've ended up with. We're going to leave the garage. Now lights, with all those, with the roof ones, the ones across the bonnet and the standard ones. Not bad on lighting. All drive on as well. What I'm going to do though, skip through to the morning and let's get on the trail. Now if I press up on the D-pad, because I didn't go for the adjustable suspension, I've got no option to adjust the suspension, which is fine. But it looks absolutely brilliant. Now this also being my first foray into looking at mods on Snowrunner, it's kind of finding your feet as well. So this is the map. There are various different zones and sections. That one's got a bit of a rock crawl bit of mud around the side. The one I'm more interested to go to first, there's a much more difficult rock crawl. There's also a lorry pull, so for testing your towing, which seems quite straightforward, but depending on the vehicle you're using, the hill does get steeper as you go, like a tractor pull really, and it gets bumpy as well. So, you know what, we'll have a go at that first. See how this fares on that. And that's what I mean about the extended. If you go for the extended winch, look at all the dots. So if you're on console, you know, doing that option then to scroll through them to find the one you want can take absolutely ages. So what I'm going to do is just do quick winch. So quick winch, let's give it a go, shall we? I'm going to put it in low box. Now what I want to do is get this rolling to start off with. Now again, with the adjustable suspension or active suspension, the ability to be able to drop it down the suspension will probably help on situations where you don't want it to be tipping. But then, like I say, will then limit what you can do with regard to tyre size. But what I'm going to do, I think, let's go up a notch. Try and get a bit more speed. Again, a bit bouncy, but as you can see, the hill does get steeper. But it's interesting to see what you can do with them. Obviously the bigger lorries, if you can bring a big old truck out here, it's going to be a lot easier. But it is interesting to see what it will be able to do. We are slowing a bit, but it is going. Those studded tyres seem to work very well. You know what? That's not bad at all. Now, you may I think you may have to reset that. Oh, I've missed one of my harsh driver stickers on the door. Oh, never mind. What we're going to do is head down the hill to the rock crawl that I want to do. This has also got a real steep hill climb, this particular map. Again, it's one I would say, come on, have a bit of a play around. There are loads of different courses to drive around that really test everything on the vehicle. The one thing it won't test is snow, because there's no snow on here. That's why I want to drop out at some point and we'll go and have a look and see what we've got available for snow and how well it copes. There's also not too much deep mud. Turning circles not, or turning radius isn't brilliant, but there's quite a bit of bounce as well. That could be down to the suspension too, because I went for the flex. But we've got this in cab, nice, neat and tidy, and a bit bonkers. I turned off the hands movement on mine in the settings because I just found as the wheel was turning, the hands flashing side to side drove me absolutely mad. But everything doing what it should. But this is very capable in this format, and like I say, I just think because it's often forgotten about, you know. I know there will be people that will argue, oh, I use mine all the time, and that's fantastic, but I just think it looks fantastic. It looks aggressive. I like all the options on it. Jboosted has done a brilliant job with it. Alright, let's knock it down a little bit. Try and get a bit more traction. There we go. Got a bit caught up there. Come on, turn, turn, turn. There we go. In fact, the rocks are all moving as well. But it's doing the job. Now, apart from obviously towing the lorry, which is what I needed the winch for, I haven't had to use the winch yet. That's not to say I won't use it or can't, because we've got the autonomous kind of extra version. This will work even if you're on side and the engine's stalled. But I have to say, very nice indeed. Now, what's my best way out of here? You know what? So having left that area, like I say, as we go around the map, let's open the map up. Now I've been on this, but I came out and reset it because I wanted the lorry to be at the bottom of the hill for when I came to the test. But there are all different zones here to be having a play with. This particular drive-through is really, that's as close as the map will go. That's a really tricky one there. You've got this crawl through almost like a sandpit environment with a really steep hill up, and that one through there is like a canyon. Really, really tricky. What we will do is just go around here. We'll do the climb, and then we'll drop out and we'll go around onto one of the snow maps and see how it performs in with the snow and ice. We should get an idea with the mud on this one as well. And as you can see, it doesn't seem to bother too badly. You can drop that down to low range if you want to, but it's getting through. Now, the other thing being as well, only reviewing one vehicle, the kind of mod spotlight will be a little bit longer than I suppose you would do if I was doing a farming simulator review on one vehicle, because there's so much more you need to look at, so much more that it can do. The roof rack does make it a little bit more top heavy, but in the bit of playing around I did with the roof rack on, I still didn't have it tip over at all. That's not to say it won't, of course it will. It can tip over. But I didn't have a problem with it, so, you know, but I thought just for doing this I'll take it off And we'll have a look now which direction do I want to go from here. Yep, we'll go that way. And the sandpit environment is pretty cool. We will kind of bypass it, I think, so I want to get to the hill climb. But this snakes backwards and forwards, and again, test your suspension, there's rocks. You know, it's just testing your driving skills out. Got some water holes and stuff in there as well. I've had a play around on a few of the maps, and there are some pretty cool test maps out there. And there are some really nice maps available for console now, for playing as well, for sort of gameplay. This was the one I personally just plumped for testing. I just like the look of it. What I think is good as well with this one, when you come out of this section, I'm just going to tip over now just to prove me wrong. You don't have a lot of room. It's going to go over there no matter what, isn't it? There you go. Yeah, you don't have a lot of room to turn and get a run up, and that's, I think, the beauty with this bit that I really like on this one. Again, with very, very high suspension, especially soft suspension, there is that risk the whole thing's going to tip back and fall backwards, which is getting very light on that front axle. But it's interesting. To do that climb up. Very cool. So I say, this one is Hollister Hills Off-Road Park by DevilDrivingHell. I'm going to leave here now, and we're going to go and test this in the snow. And this is by no means a full, you know, comprehensive, everything this can and will do. It's just a bit of a spotlight. Just have a look, and if you haven't seen it or used it or thought to have a bit of a play with it, it's not a bad one to have a bit of fun with. I had a bit of a play around with the rock crawler, Frog's custom crawler, which is brilliant. But this thing is very cool. This is going to tip right forward, isn't it? Let's stick that on low range. You know what? Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Let's check out some snow. Now I'm going to be tweaking the format. Oh, go on, keep going. Don't tip forward. There we go. I will be tweaking the format, looking at different ways of doing these. Seeing if I can get a sort of set format. It's going to depend on the vehicle, on the things I want to show. But yeah, Jboosted, wow. There are quite a few mods available in the mod hub at the moment that have JB on the end of them. One of them being the Tatterin. Wow, I've been having a bit of a play around with that as well. That, I mean, as if the Tatterin wasn't a cool bit of kit anyway. The JBE one by Jboosted is phenomenal. I might do a bit of a review of that as well. But anyway, come on this map as well. Have a bit of a play around, have a drive round, test your vehicles out. It's a cool one. So I've switched over to Lake Coved. I've done a little bit of a tweak. I've put the wider of those studded tyres on now, as you can see. A bit more of a monster truck look, and I have put the roof rack back on again just to show that it shouldn't be too bad. I've also put my harsh driver stickers back where they should be. The lighting, as you can see in the dark, is amazing. But what I want to look at with this is the snow. How does it deal with the deep snow? How does it deal with the ice? And I'll be honest, with those studded tyres, not bad at all. This map was one of the first we got, other than Alaska, but this had much harsher snow drifts. The deep snow was deep and sticky and horrible. This doesn't seem to mind at all. But what I want to see as well, nice flex in the suspension too, is how we do on the ice. Chuck it about a bit. Get a bit of lean. Nothing too bad. I haven't had any major problems with damage as such. You watch, it's going to break now, isn't it? Going over things like this, with the standard in-game stuff, you often get that sudden bang and a bit of suspension just gets destroyed. This just seems to be eating it up. Wow. Let's find a crossing point and see how it does with a watery bit, shall we? Just don't know whether or not you're going to get those dynamics that with the wider tyres, will it spread the weight, will it still crack the ice as badly, will it kind of skip across? You know what? Not bad at all. Now it's a light vehicle anyway, so you would expect it to be okay over that kind of thing. But I have to say, these studded tyres are pretty capable. And then, like I say, there are a few different modded vehicles out there at the moment that do have them on. The JBE ones do. I'm sure the Frog's Custom Crawler does as well. Let's see if we can find a bit of that really thick, deep snow. Fuel consumption's pretty good. Not a bad sized tank. This is rocking and rolling across the ice. Just trying to think of where some of the really claggy bits were. But even with the roof rack on, it doesn't seem too bad. And this is what I kind of said. There we go, some thicker stuff. When we talked for a long time, when I was doing a lot of my videos about the prospect of mods coming to console, that it changes the game. It takes the game from you playing the game and going through to clear levels and do jobs, to it being there's a big kind of play element, a fun element to it now, where it's just you can come on and just blitz around. You can do rock crawling. You can, you know, that's not to say you couldn't have fun before. Of course you could have fun before. I had massive amounts of fun playing this game, but it's a bit more of a playground, I think, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't seem to be having too much trouble. There you go, there's a bit of the thicker stuff. And it's doing alright. I'm still in auto box, I haven't put it in low range yet. Even if just watching this you've decided, you know what, I just can't stand it. Or you're watching thinking, you know what, I'd overlook that. And I think I had too, because I was looking more at, oh, I want something new, I want something different. I want, you know, the custom crawler, I want the, what was it, the Titanius Maximus from Frog as well. Oh, sorry, Froggy, but this has got enough different to it and enough options on it that it completely changes the whole dynamic of using it, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And with that, I shall stop there. Like I say, I'm going to be looking at my format. I will be looking at comments, what people think, what people said about how I can adjust looking at these. This is my first mod spotlight on Snowrunner. I'm used to doing them on Farming Simulator. I have a set format and a way of doing things, and this is, like I said right at the start, a whole different animal. I hope you've found it useful and informative in some way, shape or form. If you have, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free, and if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.